If you've got a passion for pumpkin, you've got to get to Dunkin' and pick these up. Our new Pumpkin Cream Cold Brew. Smooth, bold cold brew topped with velvety pumpkin cream cold foam. And our delicious pumpkin spice signature latte. Rich espresso topped with whipped cream, caramel drizzle, and cinnamon sugar. And our perfectly pumpkin donuts, munchkins treats, pumpkin muffins, and more. That's how we pumpkin at Dunkin'. Pick your pumpkin at Dunkin', like our new Pumpkin Cream Cold Brew, pumpkin spice signature latte, and our perfectly pumpkin treats. America runs on Dunkin'. Price and participation may vary. Limited time offer. Exclusions apply.
Hey, and welcome to the Hypothalamic Amenorrhea podcast, an adulting advice podcast production. I'm Dani Sheriff, and this is the place to come if you care about getting your period regularly. This podcast aims to educate, inform, and keep you motivated on your period and HA recovery track. Let's dive in. And guys, please remember that I am not a doctor, and nothing on this show should be taken as medical advice. Always seek the... Hey guys, you are listening to this episode late. I honestly don't know what happened, but I was like, be up and around this morning, and I schedule the episodes to go out on Wednesdays in advance. Like once a month, I do all the episodes in advance. And I never ever think about it, like it's done. Sometimes on Wednesday, I even forget that the podcast went out. But today I was like, the last day of the HA Society, so I know that today's episode is important so that people know that it's closing, and I just had this weird feeling that I need to look if it's there, and it wasn't there, and I have no idea where it is. Anyway, luckily somehow here we are, 7:45 a.m. I'm quickly editing this episode that has just been, sitting here doing nothing. Ugh, mortifying. In my defense, I'm pregnant and these things are happening. But thank you for your patience. I want to share with you today an episode with my amazing co-host and co-coach inside of the HA Society, Ashley Smith. She just had a baby, everyone, so congratulations to her. But she talks to me actually about accountability and coaching and all of the joys of that for HA. Ashley and I coach clients inside of the HA Society, both one-on-one, where we do weekly Zoom calls, and weekly or bi-weekly with our clients, and create plans and work through mindset stuff, and it's very individualized. And we both coach inside of the society, both in the DMs, where people get the ability to ask us all the questions in the world that they want, and in the community calls, where we facilitate conversation and help people make breakthroughs with their HA in those. Those are like twice a week. We have events a few times a month. We're really ramping those up, actually, guys, just so you know. Those are really picking up starting this month. So get in on it. We have an event on Friday afternoon. We have one next week. It's going to be great. We have guests like Kaylee McDevitt, she's an amazing registered dietitian. We have guests like doulas teaching us things about pregnancy and prenatal that we need to know. We have, who else do we have? It's just so early. I'm just struggling. A Case of the Jills is going to be coming on in a couple of months' time. I know a lot of you guys are fans of her. We have Meg Doll, one of my really good friends, who is also big name in the HA space, and her and I have done a bunch of episodes together, so I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with her. She's going to come in and do some workshops on body image. It's great. I'll stop rambling, but I want you to know that today is the last day, so get in on it. Go to the hjsociety.com or head to the show notes and click the link in there. Join today by about 5 p.m. CST. I don't know, I do turn off manually. Sometimes I get distracted, so you can potentially sneak in. But it's totally meant to be closing at 5 p.m. Central. Yeah, that's all I wanted to share with you guys. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope that you'll join us inside of the HA Society. And actually, it's not all I wanted to share, but it should be. But I'm going now. We have some really cool stuff coming up. I don't know how many of you have opted into my 7-day live challenge. my 7-day challenge. I'll put a link to it in the show notes. It's a 7-day recovery commitment challenge, and every single day you get an email that helps you take the next step towards recovery. It's full of information about nutrition, exercise, support, mindset, all that good stuff. It was really popular. So I'm doing a live version of that challenge coming up. So I recommend at a minimum getting on my email list so that you're aware when it goes live. We're going to meet every single day for 7 straight days. And we're going to do some live working through the motions. I'm really excited about that. Just planting that breadcrumb. Nothing major. It's not till the end of April, but I wanted you to know about it because it's going to be awesome. Yeah, I hope you have an amazing day, and I'll see you guys inside of the society. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Did I mention as well? This is the last time you can get the HA Society at the current price that it's at. So it's actually going to go up in price in April because we're increasing the amount of in-group coaching and the amount of events that we're having, as well as some other little things like gifts and good stuff like that. So the price is going up in April. So I really recommend that you get in now so that you can keep your $12.99 price for life. Okay, sorry. All right, here's the episode. Bye.
Okay. Pop filter. What's up?
Yeah, no, I was just thinking about how, if like when you think about the beauty of like, not so much like health coaches, because I wouldn't call myself that either, but think about like you can get the proper prescription from your doctor, but if you don't follow through daily, then it's pointless, right? So
Yes.
most people have the proper prescription. It's just working on those smaller things. You know what I mean? So it's not just enough just to have the diagnosis, but yeah, no, that just popped up in.
I'm just gonna leave that in the recording.
I know.
Okay, hey everyone. Hey guys. It's like it sounds like it's a soundbite intro, but it's actually just you talking. Okay. Hey everyone, welcome back to the AJ podcast. I am here with Ashley Smith. She is many things. She's over in the AJ Society with me. She actually coaches a bunch of the girls one-on-one. She is a certified nutrition coach. She has a bunch of certifications actually. You should rattle them off, but also biblical counseling, which I have just seen like really come through in a lot of the conversations that we've been having in the community calls. And so many people in the group say to me like, oh, I really resonated with what Ashley said. And like lots of people like choose to work with you because you just like speak into their I guess subconscious and their soul and like what they're thinking really easily. So I'm excited to have you on the show. Welcome.
Hey, I'm excited. Anytime I come on, it's exciting because it's going to be a good time, though.
Exactly. As you guys can probably tell from the beginning when I hit record, we're going to talk today about like accountability support, working with coaches, and what that actually looks like. I think it can probably be pretty murky waters for a lot of people, like working with someone, like what does that mean? What are the different levels? And we want to dive into doing that and how you can find the accountability and support to get your period back together.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we kind of underestimate the power of positive accountability. Sometimes like even the word accountability can put this like pressure in our chest. We kind of start to freak out. But I think whenever you like enroll somebody in your journey, you're like, hey, I'm coming to you specifically because these are my goals and I want to get there. I know what I need to do, but sometimes I have these moments where I don't follow through, and it's not because I don't want to. It's because like there's this either mental barrier, there's this emotional barrier. There is just something that keeps my actions from lining up to what I say I want. You know what I mean? And so that level of accountability can feel scary, but it's also like the safest place you could ever be with somebody. You know what I mean? Because it's like they're on your team. They are helping you, like, um, like, like they want the same goals that you want, and because they are slightly removed and they are able to have this objective point of view, they're able to be like, well, let's explore this. Well, what about this? You know, just all these other different things that, whenever we're so close to our goal or maybe the issue, it's just so hard to see. You
Mm-hmm.
know, it's just really hard to see and zoom out. And so I think that's just the power of coaching, no matter which direction you go.
Yeah, like being able to sort of sort out when you have your own, I don't know, issues, and it's super complicated in your head, and you've got like every single teeny tiny piece of research and evidence and thought processes that you're applying to your own life. So I don't know about you, but if I get in with like a doctor or a dietitian or something, I try to tell them everything. I try to give them like every single piece of information that I have. And you can kind of tell that they don't care. That they're just like, they really just want the high level. And because they're so trained at like sorting through what is actually like important, what the big rocks are and what the small things are. I think like sometimes it would be nice if people listened to more of the detail, but you know, these like doctors and stuff, they don't get that much time with you. But they really can see like just the simplified, clear version of what needs to happen here. And in our own heads, we really complicate it.
Totally. So I think that's kind of like the same with counseling. So you brought up that like that's kind of like what I'm into these days is counseling. And one of the biggest things that my mentor, and because like I still like do like a lot of like sitting under just because it's just the best way to learn is, our goal is to never exactly address, and this is even emotionally, but like after working with like NTPs or functional medicine doctors, like they function the same way. Not so much like we're not here to manage your symptoms. And for patients and for people trying to get their period back, it's the symptoms that we get caught up in, and it's the symptoms that we get wrapped up in, and it's really the symptoms that we try to address. And so what we're just really doing is putting all these little fires out everywhere and just jumping from one thing to another. So we go to our doctor with all these symptoms and we're like, here's all these
Mm-hmm.
symptoms. But what a counselor and even what, a functional medicine doctor or even probably even, like just a regular practitioner is like, okay, I want to get to the root. Like, what is the root that's causing these symptoms? But I do think, kind of like you said, where coaching does play a valuable role is because you do need to be heard. You know what I mean? Like you know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? Like being heard is so important in healing. That it's so important in moving forward that like to not be heard, you just don't feel validated, and so therefore it's like, okay, well, then why should I even recover if none of this is, heard, validated, real? You know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
I think that that's kind of where coaching comes in, where it's like, yes, I'm totally going to sit here and I'm going to listen to all these symptoms because those are important too, because they actually point like to the root cause. You know what I mean? But it's like we just can't get wrapped up in it.
We can't. That's such a good point. And since we're talking about like practitioners and coaches, I want to talk a little bit about like the difference. I
Mm-hmm.
think when I was saying earlier, like it can be murky water, like where do I go? What do I do? Who do I talk to? Like what's the difference? And I think, for example, for me, working with a nutrition therapy practitioner was really important because they can send me for the tests and make really specific recommendations for myself. But the appointments with them are long stretches in between
Mm-hmm.
because they only want to see you again when there's been enough time on the protocol to see a change and like reassess from there. And it's quite pricey, and that's just because that's the service that they provide.
Mm-hmm.
They're not, and I'm sure there are probably some that are like nutrition practitioners and coaches, and they do their own model, but generally that's what happens. And so you could work with that, but if with that type of person. But if you think that you're going to struggle to stick to the protocol, which is more people than they even realize, and I think we'll get to that. If you think like, okay, but how do I execute is a problem, that's where getting a coach helps.
Absolutely. You said it perfectly. Because I mean, I value my functional medicine doctor. There's no way I can afford that weekly. And it's not because they're not worth it, but again, like they're like, okay, well, we just need you to implement this plan, see if it's working, reevaluate, do some more testing, and so then like I'll meet again with them like in 3 months or something like that. But those appointments are very focused because they are very expensive, and it's like they're like juju is seeing the bigger picture, running the test, having all this knowledge. It's not so much, okay, Ashley, like what was your struggle today and how
Yeah.
can we address this and move forward. And so I think exactly like you said, like the coaches, it's more of like that is that more one-on-one support that you might potentially need in between those appointments. You know what I mean? So I think that if you're someone that's like, okay, I just needed to know what I needed to do and I feel confident doing that myself, then 100% then like probably don't need a coach. But if you find that you are getting maybe caught up in like just small triggers daily, you know, like, oh, okay, getting dressed makes me restrict my food again. How, like how much more progress are you actually going to make before you see your practitioner in 3 months again, if that is the daily loop that we get stuck in, you know, or just other small things. And so, and plus, you know, like we were kind of talking about this earlier, I find with the clients that I coach through the HA Society, like they don't realize how much progress they are actually making. To the point where they'll be like, yeah, this week was really, really rough. And to them, I say all the time, your feelings are real. They are real. What you're feeling is real. But I want you to ask yourself, is it true? You know what I mean? You know, like things can be real and true, and things can be real and not true. You know what I mean? So I think being able to have someone to pull back and zoom out again and be able to say, I need us to see how many small steps we took forward this week. And you weren't taking those steps last week, and you sure weren't taking them last month. So any step forward is going to bring us closer to ovulating and having your period. And then just even sometimes we can sit here and be like, I'm so frustrated because the results aren't here, that we totally miss the fact that your boobs are sore. That's only going to come from hormones. Like that's not coming, you know what I mean? Like from anything else.
How often that one happens? That one is like so common.
Yes. Or
people are just like, I have all these symptoms, but I don't want to get my hopes up. And it's like, you kind of could get your hopes up if you wanted to.
Yeah. Or it's like, you know, like I just can't believe it's taking this long. Oh, but I started to see cervical mucus this week.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my gosh,
Dude,
lady, it's coming. It's coming. You know what I mean? To the
Yeah.
point where like this is the first time you've had cervical mucus and we've only been working together for maybe like 3 or 4 weeks. You know what I mean? Because at some point, like you could be doing all the right things, but you still have to um honor and like abide by like the natural law of your body. Like, you know what I mean? Just because we've committed in our head, like I'm going to recover, I'm going to eat as much as I need, and I'm going to scale back on my working out, and I'm going to work with a coach on my mindset, that doesn't mean that your period just comes tomorrow. And so I think that like mentally we've made the switch, and we don't realize that just because we've made it mentally doesn't mean that it happens instantly with our body, you know? And I think with coaching also, um, and like we talked about this on our community call, one of the biggest things that winds up setting us back is being impatient. You know what I mean? And so think about practitioners, doctors, um, functional medicine doctors, like they're not going to be able to sit there and be like, okay, well, we're going to work on your mindset about the impatience. Like, why we feel this way towards our body, why do we have these unrealistic expectations, and and to say maybe we're jumping from one unrealistic expectation of what our body composition should look like to now I have this other unrealistic expectation of how my body should respond.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like we're just jumping from one to the other. And so that's what coaches help with. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a really great way to put it. I mean, we're just freaking crazy.
Yeah.
We're just freaking crazy. We're just crazy. And we just need someone to help us talk us down off the ledge of crazy.
Yes.
Like, that's all it is. And it's so freaking helpful. And something you had said this like at the very beginning, but people, the word accountability has a bit of like it has this stigma on it, maybe that it means you have to do this thing or else this person is going to be angry with you. No, it's not really. It's just like, yes, there's an element of like, oh, I'm going to make this decision because so-and-so is like rooting for me, which is just helpful. But also, like everything you're saying, someone to be accountable to is also someone that like you have to show up and share about your week and like do the work to get better. And like you have this reoccurring appointment on your calendar where you have to show up and reflect and talk about what was hard this week. And so many of us just won't journal, we won't talk about what is real for us and what's happening for us. And then suddenly you have this weekly safe space, and just the progress that you can make during that time is ridiculous. And I think that's what accountability is, personally.
Absolutely. I just kind of like you said, I think sometimes also we can associate accountability with like performance. Like, so you're saying that I have to show up each week, and what if I don't have physical progress to perform? Because like the world tells us like we need to perform to be valued, right? That like we need to perform and that our worthiness is based on our performance. And so what if I have this weekly accountability date with somebody and I'm not quote unquote performing because I don't have my period yet, right? And so I think that that's where again like we need to unpack that, like that's something that you would unpack with a coach of like, I feel crappy because I don't have anything to quote unquote show, either like a ovulation or like a period. But really, like, well, what does accountability mean for you? That maybe it means just showing up. You know what I mean? Like showing up for yourself is so powerful. Like you're not showing up for me because like I already have my period. You know what I mean? Like type of thing. So it's not like there's any judgment. It's like, do you value yourself enough without external praises to show up for yourself? Be like, this is, like, I'm going to show up because this is important to me. I'm going to show up because I want to explore, or I don't really want to, but I know I know part of me wants to explore why I feel so impatient while I'm waiting. Whatever triggered me that week, maybe it was getting dressed, maybe it was seeing old friends, you know what I mean, maybe it's seeing family, or just even like walking through that, or else like we tend to stuff it, right? Like there's very few people, and not like they're like rare, that are able to sit there with their emotions and be like, okay, I need to take a time out, guys. I need to process this, right? Like even us, like if you journal, we tend to process then, or if we don't journal, you know what I mean? Just, especially because women, we process verbally. So meeting with somebody, or even talking with a friend allows us to put the pieces together. And that's also why it's really, really valuable too, because it's not just the information you receive from somebody, it's just this safe space where you process and put together the pieces.
Yeah, I like that. It's like a safe place for you to process and put together the pieces. Because I think we all feel a little bit of like, I know what I need to do to get better, and I know what I want to achieve, and I know what I want to get over, and like what weird thoughts I want to get rid of. So it just makes sense that you would find the right person for you to work through that with.
Yeah, and I think that can actually be a dangerous place to be in, because it's that limbo of comfortable. It's like I've made enough decisions in my head that I feel like I'm moving forward, but I'm actually really not moving forward. I'm just sitting in this land of this is what I want, this is what I know I need to do, and without any action steps, like that remains a dream.
My
That
God, let
remains
me
a
like,
wish. That remains a happy place in our head, but we're not going to achieve it unless we actually start moving forward. So that's where we tend to sit there very comfortably until it becomes very uncomfortable when our reality does not match up with our like dream, wish, want type of thing.
dude, I see this all the time. Okay, I love when you guys come and DM me. I get the most amazing people come in and DM me about they're listening to the show, and then they'll tell me like what their story is. And so often it's a very confusing message in a way, because it starts with, this is my story, this is what I want to achieve, and this is all the things I'm doing right now that like don't match the goal, if that makes sense. So they're like, I used to work out all the time and blah, 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 blah. I've reduced my exercise a little bit. I really want to get my period back because I'm like super afraid of this and that, or whatever it is. And right now I'm working out 5 days a week, and I'm still restricting because my food, because, it's scary for me to let go of that, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And there's not really a question necessarily. They're sometimes just telling me, but it's so interesting. I feel like they don't see it in themselves.
Right. So it's definitely like that cognitive dissonance where it's like, this is where I am, this is where I want to be, and I'm stuck in this like in between. But I'm doing just enough to appease myself that I'm moving forward. Does that And I don't even say this in judgment. I did this for 5 years. You know what I mean? Like, so to make this like really like real for people, things like, okay, well, I won't do CrossFit in a lift 5 days a week and hike on Saturday. I'll just like do CrossFit maybe 3 times a week. I'm going to keep lifting, I'm going to keep hiking, and I'm going to keep my food the same. But I did enough to appease myself in that season of life to say I am quote unquote working towards this goal.
Yeah.
Now, that was a great step, but if I stay there in that same environment or that same thing and yet still hold on to this goal of getting my period, they're not going to match up. You know what I mean? So sometimes having that coach be like, okay, well, let's put a time limit on that. Let's try that for 3 months, and then let's be willing to make another change. That right there is a level of accountability of like, okay, man, like in 3 months, if I don't get my period, then I'm going to cut out CrossFit completely. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be this massive step that you take with coaches, but it is being like, I am here to help you achieve your goal. Like, let's set some benchmarks, let's set some, just things, and make sure that we have forward movement, because forward movement's the only thing that's going to get your period back.
I totally agree. And it's what gets me excited when I hear people kind of talk that way, because I remember feeling that way. And, the one thing that I did to change, and it's like, I'm doing this because I'm working towards recovery. And it's like, but you're not doing everything else. And being able to put yourself in their shoes and explain to them like what is actually happening right now. Like I'm going to hold a mirror up and I'm going to explain to you like what you just said to me in different
Yeah.
words.
Yeah.
And it always gets to this point where it's like, so now you're at a choice point. And I think, let me back up. I think many of us grew up in a situation, not everyone, definitely not, but many of us grew up in a situation where many things are given to us and many things we're told will come easily with some hard work. They'll come if you put the work in. And so we go about our life and we put the hard work in and we expect the results. And it shouldn't be that hard. I want that stuff at little to no cost to me. Then we kind of enter this world where we're like, wait, this is one of my first experiences with life being unfair. I was just like, what do you mean? I am doing everything the society has told me to do. What the fuck do you mean? I need to go the other way. I'm so confused. And oh my God, I don't even remember where I was going with that. I explained that to explain it to people. So it's like, so you're really stuck in this situation of like, I think that I should be able to work out all the time because I enjoy training, so I should get to do it. And I like the way that I eat, or like I want to look a certain way, so I should get to look that way, and I should get to have optimal wellness. And this is even more so for those of you who consider yourselves athletes. It's like what you're saying there is I should be allowed to push my body to its limits to achieve athletic performance and have optimal wellness. And it's BS that I don't get both. And it's very confusing, and we're really just stuck in that loop. So I love like holding a mirror up and being like, you're saying this. I've totally been there and I get it. You actually are at a choice point where you can choose to continue pursuing athletics. There's no judgment, okay? If that's what you want to do, if this is something that you are not ready to let go of, no one is telling you that you have to. No one here is telling you that you have to. Or if you really want your period back and all of the wonderful health and wellness benefits that come with that, something's got to give. Yeah. So now that you know that, mourn it. It's okay. Spend some time thinking about it. But once you've started to think about it and you start to see and come to terms with the fact that you need to make a decision. And I feel like a lot of people are just like not realizing that there's a decision that needs to be made.
Well, yeah. So there's, so much. So number one, I think it's like we have been told this lie that you can get anything you want as long as you work hard.
Mm-hmm.
And to some degree, like that, it's true, but we just can't apply that to everything in life. And so, but like we do, you know what I mean? Because think about, if I just work hard enough to get my period back, or if I'm just patient enough, all these things, when it's really like that choice point of like, no, I actually have to let go of something. I have to let go of this body composition goal that I have. Like, I actually need to let go of maybe having abs. The cost is hormonal health.
Yeah. And it's like you can get everything you want in life if you work really hard and are prepared to sacrifice something, and you can't have it all at the same time.
Right. Totally. Yes.
It's like an incomplete sentence.
Right. But I think people just stop at you can have anything you want if like you work hard, and they're like, but hold on, there's a cost, there's a choice, you know what I mean? And it's not going to be all at one time. Yeah, no, definitely. And then I think that like the other issue is that we try to achieve like unrealistic things together. You know what I mean? Like, meaning that like let's say that you are a high level athlete and performing is so important to you. Like, yes, you can get your period back and you can perform that, but you just have to be willing to really like make different choices in life. You know, like we've talked about this before. That means that in order to perform and maybe keep your period, maybe you're not that lean. Maybe you do have to quit your job. Maybe you do have to like sleep an obscene amount of hours. All these other things to bring down stress, you know, types of thing. But you don't get to like be a high level athlete, be super shredded, have like all these like different types of jobs, go on less sleep and all these things. And then like kind of like you said, like we have this sense of entitlement of like, why can't I have all these things? And your body is like, because I don't operate that way. Like I've actually never operated. I've never told you
I'm tired.
I've never told you that this was standard operating procedure. Like, no, the world told you that. Like, society told you that. I never told you that. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
I think it's like, it's kind of like that issue whenever we take cues from society or societal pressure rather than listening to our body. You know what I mean? And again, like, your doctor's not going to be able to help you work through that choice point.
Boom.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
they just don't have time for that. Like they may not even be trained for that. And I'm sure you're not going to want to pay the bill per week for that. You know what I
Yeah. I
mean?
mean, they're not trained for that. They're
Yeah,
trained to listen to your symptoms and tell you the next step for the symptom treatment, not the emotional turmoil that's going to come with it.
right. And then plus I think we just have to consider, and like we talk about this on the podcast all the time, that healing is not just physical. You know, it's not
Mm-hmm.
just physical. So again, we see doctors for physical reasons.
Mm-hmm.
But if we only see it from that point of view, then like we miss out on what's even led us, what's going to keep us, you know what I mean, all the things that we have to work through. Yeah. And kind of like when it comes to like nutrition coaching, it's actually never about the food. It's never really about the body composition changes. It's the message or
Mm-hmm.
what we believe behind it. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? It's never about the actually reducing exercise. It is like the loss of identity. It's the wanting to stay busy. It's the worthiness. You know what I mean? It's just like it's never about the actual symptom of what you think it is. So
Totally. When I work with some of the girls in the society, so quickly it's like I think people go into it expecting that we're going to be like, okay, so like, what are you eating? And like, what's a day in the life of your meals? But I'm actually more interested in, okay, so where do you want to be in 5 years? Like, what if you could wave a magical wand and do and like have your end result in life? Like, what would it be? And we end up finding out that people have like, artistic dreams or entrepreneurial goals, or they want to start a family, or like they don't know. and so then we can kind of like work backwards from there to unpack like what is it about like what's happening right now that's getting in the way of you getting to that point. And it ends up being like, well, I can't get to that point because I feel like I need to achieve X, Y, and Z or look a certain way. I mean, that was certainly me. I'm not worthy of like this level of status until I look a certain way. And it's like, wait, so you're telling me that you're putting off your like career dreams or whatever because you need to look a certain way first. And like, that's just a simple example, but that's the kind of stuff that some of us have to talk about.
oh, totally. Like one question that comes up that I would like ask my clients is, okay, so what is being this lean unlock for you? Like, what does it unlock for you that supposedly you can't have? Or like anytime, because like I do think that like even like bouts of depression. Like I could totally see that in my journey. Bouts of depression would like pop up, and I didn't know then to even ask myself these questions. But it is like depression tends to come from, and this is like, I'm not sure, like I'm not blanket statementing this at all, but what is it that you don't have that you want more of, or that you want to change? Right. So if I was to think about like the massive depressive state that I fell into, is like what did I want to change that like wasn't changing? That I wanted to have my period and keep my body composition goals. Like what did I want more of? I wanted more like answers that I wasn't getting, or I wanted a period that wasn't coming. You know what I mean? So it's just kind of like being able to like just even openly talk about that without like like any type of judgment. You know what I mean? Like what do I want more of? What do I wish was different? Or you know what I mean? Like those types of things is tends to be what like, or like what do I want changed tends to drive these types of depression, you know, types of thing of like I was literally depressed because I was stuck in this choice point, and I wasn't making a choice because I was sitting there being like, I want both and I won't let go. And that was causing me so much distress. So much distress because I just would not let go of any of it. And I was just like, well, if I just keep working hard, or if I just keep finding the right people, I can have both and I won't have to go through this. Insane. You know?
Yeah.
So
no, we're totally crazy. We're crazy. Okay, cool. Well, what is it about, I guess, how would you figure out if someone should talk to someone or not, and like who they should talk to? Because I feel like some people would get some benefit from just talking to a friend or just reaching out on support groups. And then other people need to figure out if they want to just get help from a nutritionist or a nutrition coach. And then other people are like, I need like a life coach for this. So I don't know, what do you think?
Yeah, that's such a good question. And I don't think anyone's ever gonna like be able to map this out perfectly. You know, like that would be cool. That would be good if we had a flow chart. You know what I mean? But I think that people who know that they are in the midst of a eating disorder would definitely need to speak with somebody who specializes in that specifically. You know what I mean? I think that's just really important that, and that's not saying that not any type of support could be helpful, because that's like, oh no, your friends being supportive and your family aren't going to be helpful, when like there's many people that are like, yes, no, actually having support from my friends and family is huge and it's important. You know what I mean? I think sometimes if you find that you are doing everything that you quote unquote can do physically, so whether it's eating all the food, whether it's resting, you've already gone to maybe like an NTP or like an RD that can run labs, and like you don't have any nutritional deficiencies, like you've been on supplements type of thing, and like your period is still not coming, then I think that's like that's when it comes time to like maybe like work with a coach, because there's a blind spot that you're not seeing. There is a blind spot type of thing. And so I think that's important. Or if you're somebody that's like, hey, I know what to do, I just need help implementing it because I go back and forth so many times, then that's when like we want a coach, you know. Or someone that's like, I know that I don't fully trust myself yet to walk this through by myself. I think that's when you need a coach as well. You know what I mean? And so I think that it takes being like really honest. Or if you're just like, I wanted to be pregnant yesterday, you know what I mean? Then there's like no point in like
don't delay.
Yeah, there's just no point. Then just get the support, You know what I mean? Like let's get on it. Let's start moving forward. Let's,
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
There's one I want to add too. It's the person who is like, I still don't know if this is even
Mm,
the route I need to take, which can come down to like feeling like you don't fit the criteria. You think, you know, that you're in a normal body weight, that this shouldn't be happening to, or you're not really that stressed, or it's like, I don't really need to eat more and exercise less. Like, I just need to deal with my emotional stress. Like, you're sort of like bargaining or looking for validation that you're on the right track before you even make the next step. This one's super common. A lot of people are like, I'm currently like looking into seeing if this is what I have, or if this is what my issue is, because I think maybe it's a bit weird. It's not like I don't fit the description exactly, blah, blah, blah. I actually think if you're that person, you need it too, because
no
you're looking for permission. You're looking for permission to do what you need to do to get your period back, and you're sitting in limbo, creating all these reasons why you don't have it, why you don't have permission, and why you can't recover. So, yeah, I think that's a huge
Yeah,
one.
that was me at the moment. I had someone read
Mm.
my labs and they're like, no, this is definitely a strong possibility is HA. I went all in the next day. So for me, it was like I sat so long in limbo that I just needed validation because I was so over trying a million things that I just needed an appointment with somebody to be like, who specialized in HA and reading like blood tests and stuff like that, and they were like, yeah, no, this is definitely it. And I'm like, and like I was like, are you sure? She's like, definitely. You know what I mean? And so it was that permission of like, all right, well, here we go, we're about to go off the deep end,
Yeah.
like I'm gonna do this big old jump off the diving board, type of thing. So yeah, I think that, and that is worth the money too. You know what I mean? Or you can continue to spend more time in mental distress, supplements, just all those types of things that
And Googling, lots of Googling.
mm-hmm.
Totally. I love it. Okay, well, let's talk about how people can start to work with you or with me, because they can, which is cool. And it's actually like at the time of the recording of this, um, it's only $99 a month,
Mm-hmm.
or like $100 a month,
Yeah.
$9.99 or something like that, which is really good because we provide weekly calls and then unlimited support in between those calls.
Yeah.
So that's like $25 a week or something, just to get your period on track, like to get you on track for getting your period. And then also that comes with access to the HA Society and everything that is so wonderful in that. And the way to get on that is to go to let's see, thehasociety.com, click through to the HA Society or to coaching, either one. And you can either book a 15-minute call with me and I will just listen to your story, learn about you, and figure out with you which of Ashley or I is better for you. Because we have different approaches.
Mm-hmm.
And or you can just jump straight in with whoever you would want to work with and like join on the website straight away. So either 15-minute call for free or just join straight away. And that's all it is. And it's freaking awesome.
Yeah.
Freaking awesome.
Very, very easy to get started. Very
Yeah.
easy to, and like, even if it's just like, hey, I just want to try 1 month, you know what I mean? Like, that's
Oh yeah.
still, think about like the progress that you would make there is more than you're making now. So it, like, the steps forward is just so important.
Yeah, like you could literally do it for 1 month as like a
Just test it.
like a yeah, like test it and use that 1 month to like create a path forward for you to go off on your
Mm-hmm.
own. Like that's one thing that you and I are huge on, is we love it when people leave.
Yes, yes.
When
I'm
people
glad we're going to talk
finish.
about this. Yeah, it's like our goal is that you leave empowered. Our goal is that you leave confident, that you leave not having HA define you. You currently have HA. Like HA does not have you. And so like our goal is to work with you, empower you, help you work through these things, so that you feel confident to fly solo. Like that is like our goal is to put us out of business, I guess, technically. You know what I mean? Because like we just want you to be successful and we want you to move on. I'm sure you want to move on. Like you want to have your period and be like, and then I got past that season of my life.
Totally. Like we straight up don't want to have to have you meeting with us every single week for 6 months to a year. Like that might happen, but that's not the goal. The goal is like ASAP, let's get you feeling totally in control of your own situation.
Yeah. So important.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. And where else can people talk to you?
You can catch me on Instagram. It's Ashley_Smith, Marie_Smith, underscore. Hold on. I don't even know my own.
Oh no. We're going to have to shorten that up.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you try having the name Ashley Smith on Instagram.
I know.
It's impossible. So it's Ashley_Marie_Smith_. Yeah, you just DM me there. I got lost.
So good. All right, guys, have an amazing day and thank you for listening.
Thank you so much for listening today, guys. Please subscribe to the podcast, and if you could head to iTunes specifically and leave a rating or review, that would help so much because it makes it easier for other people with HA who are Googling around to find the podcast really easily. So if you do that, you're doing a service to all of the women